I always liked funny women when I grew up. I was raised by a single mom, so women being like, was my three sisters. My whole life, I've raised two girls. All my dogs have been women.
Your dogs are women?
Well, girls. I don't know, women. I respect them. They're not girls.
I get it.
Yeah. But I always liked her. She was funny and sexy.
She was hot in the young days.
Yes.
When she was young. Mm-hmm. She did have that look.
Yep. Big nose.
Hot Jewish lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot Jewish girls.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, growing up in Newton.
Yeah.
The hot Jewish girls were the thing.
Yes. And they were cool and they were brassy and they just say the thing. No, my girlfriend in high school was Jewish and I was deeply in love with her. I had 1 year, senior year.
Yeah?
Girlfriend. She was great. I didn't care about anything else.
How did it fall apart?
She went to college and I didn't. I never went to college. So she went to Dartmouth. So now she's in like Ivy League school.
She can't be hanging out with a loser like you.
Fucking no. And I'm like showing up in a Datsun B210 to visit her. Hi. And I saw the look on her face like, dude,
This
you
is
know
over.
you can't. You see these people?
Yeah.
Nah, man.
This is over.
Hurt really bad too.
Oh,
I saw her
yeah.
recently. She came and saw me on the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm so happy to see
God,
her.
that's got to be bizarre.
Yes. First girlfriend and we're in our 50s.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Do you ever see any of your exes?
No, not. I ran into my ex from high school when I was 25 or 26 in New York.
Oh, it's not that far after.
No, it wasn't that far after, but it was interesting. It was like we were kind of adults now.
Yeah.
And we hung out in a little bit, but then we went on a little road trip together, and she was so annoying. Mm-hmm. She was so annoying that I faked that I had, my friend called me up, and I faked that I forgot to take him somewhere so I could get rid of her. I go, I'm so sorry, I forgot. My friend Johnny's on the phone. What the fuck are you talking about? I go, dude, I forgot I'm supposed to take you there. I'm really sorry.
Oh,
I go,
no.
Listen, let me take care of it. I can still do it. Don't worry. I can take care of it. I told her, I'm really sorry, but I got to drive my friend. And I just like, God.
I've lied to a lot of people.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was one that I really wish I hadn't done it. I really wish I had confronted her and said, listen, I know, because she drove from like DC to visit me, but it was awful. It was awful. She was just nagging. She would just like, don't do this, don't do that. Like I try to listen to music in the car. She's like, I don't want to hear that. It wasn't like, why don't we listen to something that we both like? It wasn't a conversation. It was just and I remember like, oh, this is what you were like in high school.
She was like. So she just wanted that back. She wanted that. I think for some people, that's a way of showing affection, you know?
I don't think it was with her.
No?
No, it was like she was just a really strong girl, and she became a strong woman. She was very smart and just very rigid in what she wanted and what she didn't want. And she just was, for lack of a better term, she was a bitch. She just like...
Well, and you were only 25.
Yeah, and also I was free at the time. I mean, I was 25 and I was finally a professional comedian. I was actually making a living. I was doing comedy clubs. I was doing okay. I was,
I mean, that gets back to the thing of life being normal and competing with comedy, you know? Because comedy is a weird life.
It's too much fun. I was like, you're not going to drag me into this shit. I know where this goes. This goes to me being a henpecked husband.
Yeah.
And you're yelling at me because I didn't do what you wanted me to do. It's like,
no, and you're sleeping until 2 a.m. if you feel like it.
Right.
And you're working. Oh, it's a joke to call it work.
Yeah.
You're hanging out with guys that you like and you're just out and meeting anybody you want, and you're in New York City. You're like living Miles Davis's life.
Yeah. It was even worse than that because I was hanging out at pool halls too.
Oh, yeah.
So that was my pool hall days. So all day long, this is what my day was. I'd wake up whenever, I'd go to the gym, I'd get a workout in, and then I would go to the pool hall. And I would go to the pool hall in the afternoon, and I'd hang out with the guys. We'd play pool, we'd talk shit, we'd have some lunch or whatever, and then I'd go do shows. So I'd do shows at night, and then I'd come back to the pool hall at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and it would be packed. And those fucking animals would be in there gambling and talking shit and doing drugs, and they would stay up till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we would go to the Star Diner in Mount Vernon, New York, and we'd eat cheeseburgers, and with, like Cheeseburger Deluxe. It was a cheeseburger with like coleslaw slaw on it and pickles and onions. And then I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and do it all again. So I had this life of just like being around these degenerate bachelors that were fun people with great stories, and they were always gambling. Everybody was gambling. And we're just playing pool all the time. And to this girl who's telling me, don't play that music. I don't like that music. I go, well, what do you like? Like, she was just like, everything was like, you know,
I remember
don't
those,
chew that way, don't do this, don't do that.
especially in New York, because it was wide open and it was infinite and open all night. And I remember those early years in my 20s living in New York, and I would do sets till 4 a.m. sometimes. It was like the improv on 44th and 9th, was like the last set was like 350 on a Saturday. It was something crazy like that.
How many people were in the audience?
None, like nobody, like barely anybody. But you kept going, you know, just all night shows. Like I had a motorcycle because you could get to shows faster through traffic. You could do 8-9 shows a night. And then you just get paid cash, and it was a great life. And then me and like Kevin Brennan and Dave Attell and a guy named Dan Vitale, who just passed away, and a few other guys used to go to the diner on the Westway Diner on 9th Avenue. And the Westway was all the street came into Westway. Like everybody that's out hustling, you know, Midtown and Times Square. And back then, Times Square was still filthy. And so there was always like a table of vice cops and then like a table of transvestite hookers. And they're out on the street. They're after each other. But everybody goes to the same diner.
So it's like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, it's like Wile E. Coyote and the whatever.
Sheepdog.
And they punch in.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Morning, Sam.
Yeah. It was like that. And the cops always had their guns shown, you know, their shoulder holster guns shown. And there'd be a table of comics.
Wow.
And we would just sit there and eat fucking Greek food and, you know, and just hang out and watch this weird, you know. I was so happy then. I was just so happy.
It's such a fun time.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really know what's going to happen. You hope that you make it. You hope you can continue to make a living.
Yeah.
But it's such a fun time of complete freedom. I really enjoyed that.
I loved it. It was enough to pay my rent in New York City. And at the time, I liked New York City a little more than I do now because there was more like cool stuff like bookstores and Tower Records, and there was more movie theaters, and there was more off the wall culture and strange stuff to see, and more restaurants and diners. There's really not all night diners in Manhattan anymore.